It looks like the Chicago Bears are heading into another pivotal week, and there's no shortage of headlines surrounding this team. Let's start with one of the most talked about names recently, Grady Jarrett. After playing through a nagging knee issue in the early weeks of the season, Jarrett has been completely absent since the Bears' Week 3 win over the Cowboys. No practices, no snaps, just silence. And that silence is what's been raising eyebrows. What exactly is going on? Is the injury more serious than initially reported? If it is, why didn't the Bears just place him on short-term injured reserve? It would have freed up a roster spot and locked in a 4-game absence, which at this point seems to be the reality anyway. According to recent insider reports, it's believed that Jarrett might have undergone a procedure on that right knee. That would explain the abrupt and prolonged absence. Had the Bears officially placed him on IR back then, the earliest he would have been eligible to return would have been the November 2nd game against Cincinnati. So if the team believes he could return sooner than that, maybe they were holding out hope that rest alone would get him back on the field faster. But here's the thing. He hasn't practiced, he hasn't suited up, and with each passing day, it feels like the team missed an opportunity to manage that roster spot more effectively. If a guy is going to miss 3 or more games, it's usually smarter to just place him on IR, unless he's one of your franchise cornerstones. Jarrett's a good player, no question, but he's not untouchable. Unless he suddenly suits up this weekend, which seems unlikely. That's a decision the front office might want back. On the flip side, one name trending in the right direction is wide receiver DJ Moore. Just a few days ago, Moore was hospitalized overnight in Washington, D.C., following that physical clash with the Commanders. The team labeled it a dehydration issue and later added a hip injury to his official designation. There's been speculation around the severity of what really happened, but Moore has begun working his way back into action. He didn't practice on Wednesday, but was limited on Thursday, and if this gradual return continues, there's a strong chance he's on the field for Sunday. You can't question Moore's toughness. He's taken hit after hit and always bounced back. If he's already back on the field in a limited role midweek, odds are he'll push through and suit up, assuming there are no setbacks in the final practices. Now let's shift to the broader injury picture for Chicago. Grady Jarrett, as mentioned, still sidelined with that knee. Noah Sewell is another player unlikely to play this week. He suffered a nasty concussion last game, the kind that made you wince watching it live. The good news is he walked off under his own power, but with the league's concussion protocols and a short week, it's highly doubtful he clears everything in time for Sunday. And then there's kicker Cairo Santos, who's dealing with a thigh injury on his kicking leg. For Santos, that's significant. He's never been known for having a big leg to begin with. So, if he's not 100%, the team might lean on someone else this week. Jake Moody could be the next man up if Santos can't go. In more encouraging news, DeAndre Swift, who had his best performance of the year last week, popped up on the injury report with a groin issue. Now, here's what's weird. He was a full participant in the estimated walkthrough on Wednesday, but showed up as limited on Thursday. That kind of shift usually means something happened during practice. Maybe it was a tweak, maybe just precaution, but going from full to limited always raises some concern. Hopefully it's nothing major, especially with Swift coming off a breakout game where he finally looked like the explosive playmaker the Bears were hoping for. If he can't go, the team might have to dig deeper into the running back room. Roscoe Johnson, Kyle Monangai, or even activating Travis Homer or Britton Brown off the practice squad for game day. Another player to keep tabs on is linebacker Ayo Oyalola, whose practice window has officially opened. He's a core special teamer and could be key this week, especially with Sewell likely out. The question is whether he's game ready after just a couple of practice days. It might be tight. We've seen guys like Travis Homer and Austin Booker practice all week in full and still not get activated. So while it's good to see Oyalola back on the field, whether that translates into game action this weekend is still unclear. Speaking of Booker and Homer, both have been full participants in practice, and the coaching staff has been cautious bringing them back. Booker, in particular, surprised a lot of fans when he wasn't activated for Monday night. He's a young player with a lot of promise and could bring some much-needed juice to the defensive line. The Bears do have a bit more flexibility now, though. With Jarrett still sidelined and defensive depth in flux, it wouldn't be a shock to see Booker make his debut this week. But keep this in mind. Once a player's 21-day return window is open from IR, the team has exactly that long to activate him. If they don't, he's done for the year. So even if he doesn't play Sunday, they'll need to make a call soon. If the Bears do decide to activate Booker, Homer, and Oyalola, then they'll need to make room on the roster. That means some tough decisions. One name that could be on the chopping block is Tashawn Bower. He was a healthy scratch last week and might be the odd man out if Booker is activated. Carl Jones and DeMarquis Gates are two others who might be at risk, but with Sewell already out, the team probably won't want to lose depth at linebacker. Jalen Jones was also inactive last game. He's another potential candidate. It's all a numbers game at this point. The front office and coaching staff will need to balance health, performance, and potential when making those decisions. As for return specialists, it's worth mentioning Dante Pettis. He hasn't really wowed anyone this season, and some fans are wondering if the Bears should look elsewhere for return duties. He hasn't made a strong case to keep that job, but unless the coaching staff feels confident in someone else stepping in, he might hold on to that spot a little longer. Special teams consistency is key, even when the production isn't flashy. Now let's not forget about the Saints, because they've got their own share of injury concerns heading into this matchup. Star running back Alvin Kamara was held out of practice Wednesday, but returned in a limited capacity on Thursday. That's usually a sign that the team is just being cautious with a veteran, so expect him to play. Same story with Chris Olave. He was limited early in the week, but practiced fully on Thursday. He'll be ready. Isaac Yiadom and Alani Taylor both trended in the right direction as well. The Saints look like they'll have most of their key players available, which means the Bears will need to be at their best to compete. So, between potential roster moves, injury recoveries, and a huge game on the horizon, there's a lot unfolding in Chicago right now. The team is in a delicate spot, balancing hope and reality. They need guys like DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift on the field. They need more clarity on Grady Jarrett. And they need smart decisions when it comes to the 53-man roster. Every choice made this week could impact the outcome on Sunday. Let's see how it all plays out. One name that continues to stir curiosity among fans and analysts is Austin Booker. The young edge rusher has flashed serious upside when healthy, and many expected him to finally get his chance last week. Surprisingly, despite being a full participant in practice, he was not activated for the Monday night game. That decision left some scratching their heads, especially considering how thin the Bears have been at times on the defensive front. Booker brings length, speed, and a natural ability to get after the quarterback, traits that this defense could use right now. The good news is he's still practicing in full, and with each passing day, his return feels more imminent. But the Bears are playing it safe. Once a player starts the 21-day window to return from injured reserve, the clock is ticking. If he's not activated before the window closes, he's stuck on IR for the rest of the season. It would be a serious misstep not to give him a shot, especially when the pass rush remains one of the team's most inconsistent areas. Travis Homer is another name hanging in that gray zone. The running back and special teams contributor has also been practicing fully, but like Booker, he wasn't activated last game. With DeAndre Swift now appearing on the injury report, Homer's status becomes more important. If Swift has any sort of setback or needs a lighter workload, the Bears could lean on Homer for depth and special teams value. The coaching staff seems to value his experience and versatility, but it's hard to get a read on when exactly they plan to bring him back into the mix. What complicates things is that each activation triggers a chain reaction. For every player added, someone else has to be moved off the roster, whether that's a cut, a shift to injured reserve, or a temporary elevation from the practice squad. It's a constant balancing act. And speaking of potential cuts, this is where things get interesting. We're dealing with a roster this tight. Every decision counts. Guys like Tashawn Bower, who hasn't been active lately, could be at risk. There's also Jalen Jones and Carl Jones, two players who have shown flashes but haven't locked in defined roles. These are the types of players who often end up on the chopping block when roster spots are needed. It's not just about talent. It's about timing, availability, and need. For instance, if Grady Jarrett isn't returning anytime soon, maybe that opens up a spot for Austin Booker. But if the team's optimistic about Jarrett returning next week, they might hold off and try to find a different solution. It's all part of the roster chess match that every front office has to play week in and week out. And that's not even touching the special teams unit, where the picture is just as murky. The Cairo Santos injury is a big one. As a kicker who relies more on technique than power, even a minor issue with his plant or kicking leg can completely throw off his rhythm. With his right thigh now in question, the Bears need to consider their options. Jake Moody could step in if needed, but replacing a kicker mid-season, even for a game, is rarely seamless. That's the reality of October football. These injuries start to pile up, and teams have to be proactive. If Santos can't go, they'll need someone who can not only handle kickoffs and field goals, but also manage the pressure of a potentially close game. The margin for error is already slim. Now, there are also whispers surrounding the status of rookie linebacker Noah Sewell. After taking a brutal hit from teammate Jonathan Ford, a pure case of friendly fire, Sewell was diagnosed with a concussion. It was a scary moment, and though he did manage to walk off on his own, expectations are low for a quick return. Given the short turnaround and how cautious teams are with head injuries these days, it's highly unlikely Sewell sees the field this weekend. That could open the door for someone like Oyalola, or even force the team to dip into the practice squad to bolster depth at linebacker. These are the types of dominoes that start to fall when one injury leads to another. And it also puts pressure on the coaching staff to not just find replacements, but to get them up to speed quickly. Let's also revisit DJ Moore, because his situation continues to evolve. It's easy to downplay a hip injury, especially when the player is already back on the practice field. But the truth is those kinds of injuries can linger. And when you combine that with whatever led to the overnight hospital stay, there's more here than meets the eye. Yet, Moore is grinding his way back. He was limited on Thursday, and if the trend continues, he might be a full participant by Friday. That would almost certainly mean he's good to go on Sunday. But even then, you have to wonder how close to 100% he'll be. Still, the Bears need him out there. He's their most dynamic offensive weapon, and his chemistry with the quarterback has been one of the few consistent bright spots for this team. If he's active, expect the ball to go his way early and often. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what is quickly becoming one of the most whispered about moves of the season, Byron Murphy Jr., the talented cornerback known for his agility and ball-hawking skills, is reportedly leaving the Minnesota Vikings to join the Chicago Bears. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the matter hint that this potential switch could send shockwaves through the NFC North, shaking up rivalries and Murphy, who has been a rising star in Minnesota's secondary, has impressed fans and analysts with his ability to read quarterbacks and make crucial plays at key moments. His departure from the Vikings, if it materializes, would leave a significant gap in a defense that has relied heavily on his instincts and speed. Meanwhile, the Bears are rumored to be eyeing him as a centerpiece for a revamped defensive scheme, one that could finally help them assert dominance in a division long dominated by unpredictable matchups. Speculation is already rampant among pundits and social media circles. Some suggest that Murphy's move could be the beginning of a larger shakeup within the NFC North, with rival teams reevaluating their own rosters in response. The timing couldn't be more tantalizing. With training camps around the corner, the buzz surrounding Murphy's potential Bears debut is feeding countless what-if scenarios among fans and analysts alike. Imagine a secondary led by Murphy stepping up to challenge the likes of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense. Rumors like this have enough intrigue to dominate headlines even before the first snap. Insiders say that while contract negotiations and final details are still in flux, Murphy has reportedly expressed interest in joining a team with defensive ambitions and a hungry fan base, traits that fit Chicago perfectly. For the Bears, acquiring a player of Murphy's caliber could signal a renewed commitment to competitiveness in a division where every small advantage counts. Meanwhile, Vikings fans are left holding their breath, pondering how the loss of such a dynamic playmaker might affect their upcoming campaigns. Whether or not the deal becomes reality, the rumor itself is already shaping conversations across the league. Coaches, commentators, and fans are debating how the NFC North might be redefined, with Chicago potentially emerging as a defensive powerhouse and Minnesota scrambling to fill a sudden void. Byron Murphy Jr.'s potential move to the Bears isn't just a player transaction. It's a story brimming with anticipation, drama, and the kind of suspense that fuels football chatter from the front office to the fan stands. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.